Good morning, Speech 1311. I just wanted to come to you live this morning. Actually, it's not live because I recorded this beforehand. I found out I was going to have to stay home today, so unfortunately I won't be able to be with you. I will make a good trade-off though. We have an activity to do today in which you are going to split apart into two groups, and you're actually going to debate a topic that we need to discuss in class today. And being that it is Friday, please give it your best because I know that you have a weekend ahead of you. We're going to dive into Chapter 3 next week, or excuse me, Chapter 4. So please do yourself a favor, get ready to just take a couple of quick notes, and I'm going to kind of set up the discussion board for you, give you the prompt, and then also please give some due thanks to Professor McVitie, who is here with you. That's right. Warm round of applause. There we go. Professor McVitie, my students are very awesome, and they are very respectful, as you can tell. So there you go. Good job, guys. This is coming to you partially live from my office at home. I didn't want you to feel lonely, so here I am with you on your Friday. What we're going to talk about today, very quickly, I'm going to set the prompt, and then Professor McVitie can kind of carry you through the discussion and debate of it. I am, by all rights, a debate coach, so this really interests me. We choose to use specific language every day, and some of that language is not used by everyone. Based on the way you were raised, your culture, the different terminology that you were raised with, or the different vocabulary, you use different words and select different words based on the situations you find yourself in and conversations in day-to-day life. Now, I say that to clarify a couple of things. One, perhaps you were raised in a home where your dad was a professor or a PhD, and no matter what you did, you had to use perfect grammar, or you got called out on it, and maybe you were even embarrassed by that person. They made fun of you because you used double negatives or poor grammar. And some of you were raised in normal households where people kind of let things slide. Your mom or dad didn't really correct your grammar. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. And then some of you grew up in households where your grammar was actually better and more accurate than those who in your family around you. So if that's you, kudos to you. But that's what I'm trying to set here. There's a couple of things specifically that I want to talk about. One is bias language. Bias language is language that we use a lot of the time that is infused with kind of subtle undertones based on our beliefs and our ideas and behaviors. We have certain ways we deliver information to people, words we use. Some of us use slang word, which slang is actually a term that's in our chapter, but I don't want to insult your intelligence. Most of us know what slang is. Maybe you have alternative words that you use. How many of you, just out of curiosity, have been to urbandictionary.com? Show of hands. Yeah, okay, good. So a majority of you, awesome. You like how I assume, even though I'm not there? It's pretty funny. All right. Urban Dictionary is actually pretty funny because it deals with a lot of slang words that we use in society that you can actually add to, people can edit. It's kind of like the Wikipedia for words. So I thought that was pretty neat. Another thing that we're going to talk about specifically in debate really quickly is political correctness. And if you've ever been accused of not being politically correct, you know what I'm talking about. Take, for example, I'm going to give you some words, and again, this is in a controlled environmental setting, so I'm going to give you a couple of words that we don't use anymore based on the fact that we've become politically correct. What I mean by politically correct is an attempt of someone to replace a possibly offensive word with a word that is a little bit more neutral. For example, when I was a younger kid, this word in the 90s really was kind of becoming offensive, but it wasn't completely offensive yet. Specifically in the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s, it really wasn't that bad. The term cripple was a word that was used a lot. This young man is crippled, or he has an illness and he's crippled. We don't use that anymore. We use the term physically handicapped as an alternative from that word. So some of those words now, we've even gone into issues that are real sensitive to people. For example, race. I am no longer a white guy. I am now a Caucasian male. We've also replaced a lot of different words. Most of our students are no longer Mexican. They are Hispanic. They're no longer black. They are African American. We use certain words now in society and culture to avoid offending people, and that's kind of where the debate goes. Pardon me for the screen black out there. That's kind of where the debate needs to gear towards. I want you to get together into groups, separate up, and I want you to discuss freedom of speech versus political correctness. So if you could, Professor McVitie is going to split you guys, or you can probably do it yourselves there. Split into halves, probably be about 12 people on each side. And I want one group of you to discuss why it is important for us to be able to say what we really feel and use our freedom of speech and expression and communication to get those messages across. The other group, I want to discuss why we need to be politically correct in our words and speech, and why sometimes it's important for us to replace biased words or possibly offensive words with ones that are less offensive. And there's goods and bads of both, there's pros and cons of both, but I want you to weigh those out and then talk to one another. Designate 2 to 3 people from your group to represent one another, and then I want you to take turns of about a minute to 2 minutes on each side, having each speaker from each side. Speaker 1 speaks for a minute or so from this group, and then Speaker 1 speaks for a minute on this group, and kind of go back and forth and engage in some dialogue and debate about the benefits and maybe even some of the potential disadvantages of using freedom of speech versus political correct speech and the like. So, Professor McVitie, if you would kind of help everybody with that and kind of facilitate it, that would be awesome. Once you're finished with that, make sure that you look into Chapter 4 for next week's lecture, and we'll be talking about that. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.